Hi everybody and big welcome to a card review for this amazing new azorius commander from the secret lair Street Fighter, which is, by the way, I think this is the only one that is kind of viable for cEDH, or, well, that's not entirely true. I think Ken and Ryu also has something almost going for them. I don't think they're like good enough, but it's definitely something that could see some action, maybe in some sides, some 99s at the very least, but as commanders, I'm a little bit skeptic about them. But in this video, we're gonna focus on this Chun-li Countless Kicks. So she's actually a little bit unique. There's nothing really like her. Oh, well, maybe Kess has some similarities. We're actually going to talk a little bit more about that soon. But in the end, she's an azorius blue-white, 1 generic, 3 mana cost, 3/3 human soldier. Legendary creature, of course, with multi-kicker, hybrid, white or blue mana. When Chun-li enters the battlefield, exile up to X target instance cards from your graveyard, where X is the number of times Chun-li was kicked. Put a kick counter on each of them. I really like that she has multi-kicker. It feels perfect for her. I actually don't know that much about Chun-li in general, nor do I know that much about Street Fighter either. My favorite character was actually Blanca. I kind of thought he was cool, but I don't know much about him either. He lived in a swamp and he electrocuted things. It's probably a great game, but what do I know? She also has a secondary ability, each with a triggered ability, Lightning Kick. Whenever Chun-li attacks, copy each exiled card you own with a kick counter on them. You may cast those copies. This is where I'm gonna say thank God she's only 2 colors. This ability is absolutely amazing, and I actually think she could be overpowered rather quickly. So the first thing that is absolutely crazy here is that there is a build-up very similar to Maren and her experience counters. For example, if you cast Maren and she gains a bunch of experience counters and then she dies and you recast her, she keeps all the experience counters you've accumulated. This is the same thing here. When you exile things, you put them in exile with a kick counter on them, and they are connected with the kick counter. The lightning kick is looking at what has been exiled that has a kick counter on them. So if you cast her, you multi-kick her a bunch, and you exile a bunch of stuff, she goes back to the command store for some whatever reason, because people are removing her, which is something they're definitely gonna do over the game. Then you recast her, and then she keeps everything she has accumulated up. She's built up. She's growing in power as the game continues, and that is amazing. It is actually a little bit more similar to Marisol when I think about it. He is caging things, he is building up abilities over time, and then he can pretty much become a superhero. And this is the same thing. She will be a bomb when she attacks after a while. They also stay in exile with a kick counter on them. They don't go back because she creates a copy of them, and you cast those without paying mana cost. And you're casting all of them here. So the first question we're gonna ask, is there an instant spell that says take an extra turn after this one? And we do actually have some. We have Nexus of Fate and Final Fortune. Now here's where I'm actually really happy that she's only on the color of blue and white and not in red as well, because Final Fortune with her would be amazing. Now I know exactly what you're gonna say. Final Fortune doesn't work because you're dying at the end step. Now that's actually not a problem, because we can also just throw in Angel's Grace here, which is making us immortal. So whenever Chun-li attacks, you're casting Final Fortune for an extra turn, and Angel's Grace so that you don't die this turn. Next turn you attack again and cast both spells again, and from here you have infinite turns, and you're also immortal. You can actually also deck yourself here. But Final Fortune doesn't work because it's red and we don't have access to red. Nexus of Fate, on the other hand, also doesn't work, because if Nexus of Fate would be put into a graveyard from anywhere for whatever reason, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it back into your library. So you will never have a chance of actually multi-kicking it, unless you're like putting it into your graveyard and then stifle it yourself, and then it's gonna stay there. But honestly, that's a little bit awkward. Well, you could do that, and then you have a commander that's attacking and winning. So yeah. Now one thing we could try to do is go for the Tayam Oitai's Master Infinite Currents Rebound Combat trick, where you use spells to return sorceries, specifically time warp extra turn spells, from your graveyard back to your hand. I actually have a deck tech about this in the description below the video. You can find a link to this deck tech if you're interested in that sort, because we can't actually do this. As you can see, the spell in the middle here is a sorcery, and we can't exile sorceries with Chun-li. We can only exile instants. If it would have been possible, if there were an instant that actually could return a sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, then we could definitely go for this strategy. But that card simply doesn't exist. And in the end, this is actually where Shu Yin actually almost becomes balanced, because like the card is utterly amazing. The question is just, how are we actually gonna win here? There probably is an unknown combo we just haven't found yet, or something I haven't found yet that we just have to dig through. I mean, she's unlocking a lot of new cool card potentials, so there could be a cool combo cEDH have basically overlooked with her concept. I don't personally see one yet, but I am actually quite certain there's gonna be a card that completes her. Either it's something that they're gonna print in the future, or something that I already printed that we're just forgetting. If you actually know a cool way of winning with her in a cool, efficient way within her style, with instants and stuff, feel free to drop that in the description below of the video. It's gotta be a good one though, because stifling Nexus of Fate trigger so you can multi-kick Nexus of Fate into your commander feels a little bit awkward. However, here comes one of the fundamental rules of cEDH. If your commander is on a low CMC and has a card drawing on it, and maybe something more, it is definitely viable. If your commander can draw cards, and this is definitely going to draw a lot of cards, because you can stack variants of brainstorm effects onto her, and when you attack, cast a whole bunch of card drawing spells and whatnot, could be very crazy in this deck, and you draw into a lot of new cards. And from here, if you have a lot of card draw, you can have whatever win con you want. This commander can definitely become an ease, but I also think that the deck flow can be quite amazing here. Just look at this example, Archmage Charm. You don't rush out the commander the first thing you do. You want to build up a little bit of mana, you want to build up a little bit of a grave. So here's a great card. Counter target spell for free blue mana. A little bit expensive, but this is definitely a deck that is going to be running, let's say, something of a counter spell or interactive instant tribal. Because it also has some other choices. When you multi-kick this, which you're going to do when you cast your commander after counter spelling something with this, you can then attack with her and either steal something with converted mana cost 1 or less, or basically just draw 2 cards with it. I actually made a tutorial once about what makes a commander cEDH viable, and one of the really important things was that your commander shouldn't desire bad cards. And what I mean by that is that there's usually commanders that have synergies with certain tricks, and because of that you're including cards inside your deck that are gonna synergize greatly with your commander, but in general they are terrible inside cEDH, and you don't want to cast them unless you have your commander in play. But I truly don't see that problem here. I actually think that you're going to include cards inside this deck that are going to be great inside cEDH in general. Blue and white instants that are controlling the game in various ways that she can utilize to some greater extent. I mean, just look at this one, and this is where she truly becomes a bit bonkers. Intuition, and it's gonna be an all-star for this commander. It already is an all-star inside cEDH. It's an instant, so you can actually multi-kick Intuition onto this commander and recast it over and over. But the cool thing is that if you're casting it and you're putting a bunch of cards into your graveyard, you can multi-kick those things. This commander absolutely has so much potential. I think it's absolutely busted. I'm actually happy it's only on 2 colors. And I'm also kind of happy it doesn't really have a concrete win con at the moment that I currently see. One thing that also makes me a little bit happy is that you can't really put it inside the 99, or well, you could, and it could be a little bit of a powerhouse inside the 99 as well. However, if someone removes it, you don't regain it that easily. Because here's the cool part about having it as the commander and its multi-kicker and kicker counters on them, is that you can just pay the commander tax, recast her, and she becomes really resilient that way that you're keeping everything you've built up. If you have this inside the 99 and you lose her, she's gone. I also think this is going to be a really fun commander to actually play. I mean, just imagine, you're sitting there, you're controlling the board state with various cool ways, just building a huge graveyard, you cast this, you multi-kick it a ton, and then you pass turn. Well, there's probably gonna be a bunch of haste enablers like Hall of the Bandit Lord, Lightning Greaves could be good here. It's really sad we don't have access to red and that anger once again, but just attack with this, and you cast all of those spells, and you're just taking over the game so efficiently with this. I'm almost speculating around Voltron here. Just having this commander damage as the win con. We don't really have that inside cEDH because it's so hard to control free opponents. But if this commander actually gets there, she might get there. Now here's actually a little bit of that problem. It is actually a bit commander dependent here. If you don't actually get your commander in play and you don't get to swing, it kind of falls apart with that strategy. So a great way to actually interact with this is just to kill this commander over and over. But once again, remember, we're playing a deck that is going to contain a lot of really good cards on their own, so it's not going to be a commander dependent deck, even though it's built around the commander in general, I think here. So you're probably going to be quite fine with having this killed a little bit now and then. Just keep on rebuilding, keep on interacting with the great cards that you have inside your deck, and then recast her later. I think I'm gonna end this entire video with just one simple word: yikes! Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, feel free to share my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link in the description below of the video will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.